What's going on, everybody? It's KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN here, bringing you guys another review for Black Clover Chapter 355. And this chapter shall forever be known as the chapter that Lucius showed us that he still has quite a bit of disrespect left in the tank to dish out, because the man just treated William Vengeance not like he's a Magic Knight captain, but instead like he's an NPC, and he yeeted this man out the manga to a point where we gotta pour some liquor out for the little homie William Vengeance, because between this and this man realizing that Yuno surpassed him and took his title as captain, it's an era of change is coming to the manga right now, and I'm all for it. So with that being said, let's back things up a bit and let's dive into the review itself. So the chapter opens up with Yami shouting at Jack, but before he can finish his words, William Vengeance immediately forward into battle and tries to attack Lucius, who looks completely unfazed when he's seen this happen. When William tries to attack Lucius, he declares that it's because of who Julius was in the past that Vengeance is who he is today, which is why he vows to stop him even at the cost of his own life. However, Lucius isn't fazed by this, and it's in that moment that Vengeance saw firsthand what it means to battle someone like Lucius. With a mere time spell, William's body begins to rot, and if this were a video game, he would have lost 3/4 of his health bar from that one attack alone, showing that he doesn't have enough experience points in order to take on that final boss, that is Lucius, the Rogue Wizard King. Even worse, Lucius just flat out says, "You people don't have the power to defy me," letting them know that he's on God mode right now. Greatness on a different level. Meanwhile, we got those angel-like creatures flying in the sky, and the people are all looking up at them all around the Clover Kingdom in awe at what it is that they're seeing, because the scale of the magic gathered in the sky is growing as the seconds tick by, and those who realize what's about to happen are literally shaking in fear. Lucius narrates for us that this is the final judgment coming, and we see this light blast begin to start moving through the sky, and it's then that those down below realize that the power they're seeing is going to be too much for anyone in the Clover Kingdom to put a stop to. The sheer detail that went into that large scale of attack is something that we have to commend Tabata for, because each panel feels like the weight of the pending attack is just being layered up in order to smother those down below. However, that's where Yuno pulls up and stops the attack that's about to be launched with his star magic, and the sheer volume of magic that Yuno's pumping out leaves everyone stunned, because this should not be possible. It's at that point that Yami looks up at what Yuno has done, and someone who isn't as easy to impress as Yami is left stunned at what he's watching Yuno do, saying that to think that he powered up this much in only a year of training is outrageous. And William even comes to the realization that Yuno is now stronger than him, and he gives Yuno the title of Captain of the Golden Dawn. However, it's not just Yami and Vengeance who come to this conclusion. It's also Lucius himself, who takes a look at Yuno and realizes what the Supreme Devil told him chapters ago was absolutely correct. Yuno has leveled up at an alarming rate, and he's a problem that has to be addressed right now. Lucius looks over at Yuno and concedes that he's the one who's going to have to destroy first now, because while removing Asta might have made his path to victory even clearer, what we see in this chapter from Yuno is the fact that Yuno is doing the one thing that leaders do so well, which is he's inspiring hope through his actions. That huge display of power that Lucius just showed us in the chapter, it wasn't just to flex his true power, because we know that if Lucius had a power level bar that we could see on the screen, it wouldn't be anywhere near the top. But what we do know is that Lucius showed that huge display of power, and not the full power, in order to break the resistance of those before him, to let them know that it is pointless to fight back. And for a moment it looked like that's what was going to happen. It was going to work until Yuno stepped in with the counter and gave those around him hope again, that just as the stars shine through the darkness of night, he too is a shining beacon of light for them as they go through the darkness that is Lucius. It's one of the last things that we see in the chapter, that Yuno says he'll never forgive Lucius and he will stop him because he's going to be the Wizard King. I think it's safe to say here, with Yuno staring at Lucius with both grimoires ready for attack, as a nice payoff to what we got earlier in the series, where everyone hyped up Yuno for getting that 4-leaf grimoire and said that he was going places. And here in this chapter, he's shown that he's the only one in the kingdom right now that has a prayer's chance at standing their ground against Lucius. While we know that Yuno is royalty and from the Spade Kingdom, those in the Clover Kingdom that he's protecting, he's just a peasant to them, from an orphanage in the backwoods on the border, a country bumpkin, and yet that peasant, that country bumpkin that they refer to him as, he's the only thing standing between them and Lucius carrying out his plan against their will. Another nice touch in the manga is that montage where we see Asta being injured and Sister Lily is a paladin, and Yuno breaking the news to their loved ones at the orphanage. it gives us a huge emotional buildup where we don't need words to actually be shown for us to know the emotion in the room. And we see that quiet rage building up in Yuno's eyes, with them being shaded out, and the only one whose eyes we don't see in that panel while everyone else is crying. We see the rage building up more in Yuno when he declares that he won't forgive Lucius, and the eyes are not shown again. The small details like this that play with the flow and the emotion are what I love about this chapter the most. Tabata was locked in on this chapter. Like, we know it's an unwritten rule in Shonen that for as advanced as the rival gets, if it's the final boss in the final arc and the main character has a training arc, the main character is going to be calling dibs on that W. But in this moment here, you truly want to root for Yuno to win because he's putting it all into his battle, because he's under the belief that he's avenging his loved ones. And that's something of a mark of a good writer, to be able to get the readers that much invested in Yuno despite knowing Yuno's about to lose. The other thing I like about this chapter is that we get the callback to the spell Julius used, Chronostasis, which I thought was a nice touch by Tabata here, even though it might not be the exact same spell, especially given who Lucius just used his current spell on. I think the other thing of note here is the fact that we are finally seeing a glimpse as to how much Yuno leveled up, because he's clearly on a different level than what we saw in the Spade Kingdom battle. And even though we're told that he's gotten stronger, actually seeing it with our own eyes, the way that he's leveled up so quickly, is outright insane. My question though is, are those dead angels that we see actually made from the dead members of the Golden Dawn? We know Lucius isn't above playing some mental games to get into the heads of his enemy, and this is enough of a savage move that he will pull something like this, knowing that he's gonna have to fight Yuno, and that would be something that gives him more of an edge. This chapter also makes you wonder why the Supreme Devil let Yuno and Asta live following that Lucifero battle. Asta, I can totally get, because Lucius was planning on wiping out on his own, but Yuno being left alive might be one hell of a mistake looking back, especially when or if Yuno and Asta end up teaming up. If we weren't in the final arc, I'd be questioning whether or not this was some sort of a long-term booking at play here or not. It's going to be interesting to see how Yuno does against Lucius, because neither one of them were anywhere near full power in this chapter, and it feels like emotionally going into the narrative, it's behind Yuno right now, but all that means is that Lucius is going to do something to crush our hearts and make Yuno lose. However, my question to you guys is, if Lucius is a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you think Yuno has leveled up to based off the power we just saw? While you think that over, click here to watch these other Black Clover videos you see on the screen right now.